the balance of the program.
Okay, no, that's fine. No, it's all good. Yeah, sorry, Paul. Yeah,
just to explain that the handout. This was a request that was made from Councillor Crowther in terms of the movement between the previous workshop number and the 88 million. So it just shows the change in program since we had that workshop earlier in the month.
Through the chair. I guess I was meaning more that the lump sum sort of the two, the FY25 and the FY26, because I sort of see those as going a bit together. If I presume the red on here as opposed to the white is something to do with the scale of it, is it?
Red is the items that have gone up since the some more released since the previous workshop, and the green is going the other way.
Okay, because I think, yeah, just to be clear, my question was more about just trying to look at the two things, like how much. It sounds like most of it's deferred.
So yeah, I think to answer that question, everything that's gone from the original 580 whatever to this to 502 just gets deferred into 26, because if we want to remove anything, that's a long-term plan amendment. But if we defer it, it's so we're kicking the can down the road. In essence, we're just shifting it from 25 to 26.
So that was recognised in resolution F, which is saying that the 25-26 annual plan will move to 765 million, and will need to be addressed as part of that.
Can I ask a question? Are we in? I can't remember where we're at in the meeting. Yeah. So if I guess what I'm trying to get to is, will there be another discussion around that where they get deferred to 26, 27 from 25, 26, or do we actually hit a point where we have to kind of make hard decisions? Because I guess I'm sort of seeing the two approaches can work technically, but I'm not sure where we're going with it all.
Sure. So that's purely a council decision. So what we'll bring to you in November through the annual plan workshops and meetings will be what this impacts on the annual plan, and that will give councillors the opportunity to say we can push these into the following financial year, or stop those projects, or push them into 5 years' time, or whatever decision council makes at that time.
Through the chair, can I maybe re-ask my original question, which is, like I sort of understand that the technical answer in terms of each of these projects, there was a certain amount that has increased to go from the 486 to 502, and there'll be all the deferrals to the other year. I guess, and maybe you answered in the previous question, but just to make sure, like, I kind of thought we were operating on the basis that it was to try to, when we saw the 486, it was to sort of not go over that. So I'm trying to understand, given that it's gone over, will there then be another process where staff will claw back the 16 and defer those, or is that now back to council sort of saying we tried to do that, we couldn't quite manage that, there's a bit of a 16 million increase now, and then we have to do something around that?
What it's doing is it's putting more pressure on that balance sheet. So we're moving closer up to that limit, but we're still within that limit. So we're still at this will take us to 275%. So it puts us closer to that limit, but still remains within it. So that's effectively what this is doing by moving that 16 million.
So that's sort of approximately 270 to 275, is that? Yeah.
If all this comes to play, we'll be closer to the top end of that at 275. Yeah.
And sort of from your experience in that, like I know this year we delivered more than usual, but what's the kind of the variance usually?
With no engineers in the room, I can answer that. In that, normally we're around about 80% of the budget is what is delivered. But what I would say is there's two things. One is there's been a lot of capacity built over the last few years to deliver. And secondly, the types of projects that are being delivered are able to actually are quite big, sizable chunks of money going out. So I think I would expect us to be higher than that 80% than we've been in the past.
And that's sort of also like as projects progress, because you might be a multi-year project and things are a little bit slower or a bit faster. So that's where that movement is a bit.
Yeah, that's right. I guess the key is as we move into the annual plan process to recognise that this issue isn't going away in the next couple of years, subject to that conversation around where we go with those increased borrowing covenants. So, that's we're delivering more, just putting more pressure on balance sheet, and we've got that covenant conversation to have as well.
And now you're going to tell us that you can deliver it all for 486 with some better value for money. So thank you, Paul.
Pleasure.
Councillor Morris.
Thank you. Just wondering about that $6 increase, Tauranga West high level water main. That looks like a typo. Might be affecting the calculation at the bottom in the spreadsheet. It could be 6 million or $6. So the variance is $6. Yeah, there's a typo.
No, I think that's right.
There's been no.
It's been a very accurate budget estimate update.
The contractors come in.
Really?
Aiming apparently.
Yeah. Okay.
In fairness, I think it probably is a typo. It should be 0. The number hasn't moved.
Okay. Yeah. Councillor Rosebone.
Yeah. Well done on this, by the way, Paul. Well done. Because we are getting close and we're going to be at that for a while until we get through the annual plan process and hopefully create some headroom. A lot of our reports lately have had lots of projects being brought forward. And I'm assuming as we become more efficient in how we deliver projects, this question is going to be asked more and more. Can we start bringing things forward in order to keep projects moving? Have we got a list of those projects that may be asked funding to come forward, which may impact where we are now till after the annual plan process is complete?
We haven't got an up-to-date list of those projects, but it's pretty much what's in the long-term plan. What I would say is the approach that we take is what we term dollar in, dollar out. So for every dollar that we may need to bring forward in those opportunities, we'd seek $1 out to actually take out to be able to fit within that envelope. For example, the decision which is on the table on Memorial Park, if that 2.2 million was to come forward, we would be looking for $2 million to come out to keep those numbers balanced. Now, that may mean, and I think the other thing to note is we closely monitor this as we move forward, because as things change, that might mean that a project may go up, a project may go down. So that will continually update you as to how we're tracking towards that, given it is so close.
Perhaps, and just further to that, the ability to bring forward projects is directly reliant on us not doing some of this, and as we become more efficient, the ability to bring forward diminishes. So, and we're watching this like a hawk, obviously, because that 275% debt to revenue ratio is something that we're not going to break. So this is probably as finely balanced as it's been, I think.
Prior to selling Route K, we were in a similar position for a few years, which I aged 10 years then. So this will be another 10 years aging, I suspect.
Councillor Morris.
Another question. Thank you, Mayor. When I was watching Bay Plenty lose in the weekend, I was going through another spreadsheet. It was Transport 1. It was Appendix 1, which I was sauteing Mike over that because I couldn't quite understand it. Is it possible to get the original Excel file? Because you can't copy and paste from Stella. It's a real pain for trying to work with numbers, convert it into a PDF and then have to convert it into a Excel, and then you have to rely on the fact that the Excel and the conversion might be wrong. But that would just benefit me, because that would have saved about half an hour of my time. If I could have done a sum at the bottom of the table, I would have been able to understand it better. But that might be just me. And then the second question I had was around LGFA. Have we got any further reading of the tea leaves there, given we're still waiting on a decision?
Just in terms of the first question, Councillor Morris, do you want a copy now of attachment 1 in spreadsheet? Because we can certainly arrange that.
Oh, that was the transport one. Yeah, I'd love that.
Yep,
Yeah, thank
yep.
you. Oh, thank you.
Of transport, yeah.
The transport one, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, just if there is a spreadsheet in Stella, it would help me personally. I don't know if it's a collective view. I don't want to impose. I'm assuming it exists because it's an Excel spreadsheet. But
if you put it in motion, I'll second it, because I'd love to have, every time there's a spreadsheet sort of behind anything, it'd be really helpful from my point of view as well to get it as a sort of a matter of course, because then it also saves our time bugging staff, because I don't like to kind of have to ask every time. And yeah,
Look, that I'm not sure Stella can do it, but we'll send it to you otherwise. That's fine. Yeah. In terms of LGFA, what we know is that we've heard, and they're more rumours than anything, that it's not confirmed that the vote will go through in 2 weeks' time, but we're still probable that it will, if that makes sense. It's just, it's one of those things that we can't guarantee every growth council effectively that will do it, but we're pretty confident that a number will, and we'd be confident that the government will, in terms of a 20% shareholder. The next question is in terms of the board, and I think what we've heard from the board is that they're very focused on, when they say growth councils, that means for growth-related expenditure. So where we would, and we have nothing in writing from them to confirm this, but it's just through verbal conversations that would indicate that they would look more favourably on bespoke covenants related to growth-related expenditure, because it's a growing revenue base effectively, and therefore lower risk. There was an article last week, published about the rating agencies looking strongly at this as well. So that's still sitting there. So that may have credit rating impact. So I think it's looking positive. I think the other thing to reflect on is that there's no, it's up to 350%, and it may be on specific criteria, and they may play a greater watching role in what that looks like. We don't know the full detail of that. So it may mean that they just wanted, and I wouldn't be surprised, this is just only my view, is that they may test the waters and say, right, well, you're not going to 350 now, we might give you 300 for a few years and test the waters. That might be where they land. I don't know, but that just...
I guess the positive thing is we're aiming to be under, so we have no issues, and then it's a bonus, and that gives us some headroom if it all goes through, that we actually potentially do have those options to bring forward spending and add in things if that's what we choose to do. So I think we're in a good spot. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, Councillor Crowther.
Yeah, Paul, can you clarify on number 20, where it has the OPEX side of things? I'm sort of recalling the mayor and I think others sort of talking about, although the big sort of shift to try to balance the budget that he signalled is for 25, 26, there was also comments to sort of try and cut it back, the deficit back a bit this year. When I look at this, we've sort of got swings and roundabouts. We've got a little bit less rates, a little bit more interest, a little bit more depreciation, a little bit less in the interest and finances expenses. So it's sort of neither here nor there overall. It's just down by 3 million. Do you see, is this after you've done the whole, listen to what the mayor said, go away, do a big review of it all, and this is what you've come back with, or is there another process that can still be undergone to try and see if there can be some savings in various areas this year?
So through the chair, there is a concurrent process. This is what we've confirmed to date, but we're looking at a total of 4.1 in interest and additional 4.6 overall is what we're aiming for the year. What we don't have at this point in time is confirmed amounts to take out of line items for some of that 4.6 million additional saving, but that's the commitment that executive has signed up to, looking to extract more money out throughout the year. That might be across, and that's what I spoke to this morning about. Those envelopes effectively have been allocated to each general manager to look to find those savings. But it's just because we haven't actually identified the exact line item, it hasn't been extracted out at this point in time.
I think this capital project is obviously first as well, because that potentially has flow-on effects as to, you know, what the organisation is delivering, and that obviously has flow-on effects from there, hopefully to some OPEX savings.
Supplemental as well on that, just and it does tie into what the mayor's just said. Would you think, I guess I'm just interested in your experience view on it, like, does this signal to us that when we then go through to the next financial year, in order to get really significant savings in the OPEX, that we'd either have to make, you know, the kind of cuts that you'd not be used to and the normal sort of operating expenses, or do exactly what the mayor just said, you'd have to get savings from changing the capital program? Would I be correct in thinking, if we said to you, do it for the 25-26 year, the same sort of approach as here, you'd be struggling to get sort of tens and tens of millions to balance it?
What we're looking at to bring to you in the annual plan is a three-tiered approach. One is right-sizing the organisation, and that's based on where the capital program lands going forward, so that we can actually make sure that's right. The second is moving towards a balanced budget and the implications of that, and that will include potentially conversations around some of the operational expenditure, as well as some of the funding ways we fund things, because that will be part of that conversation. And then the third will be around efficiency pieces. Now, it's difficult to get large savings outside of a capital program, given the amount of operational expenditure that flows from that. That's where the big savings are. Level of service is another area that council can look at to get big savings out as well, which again has consequences effectively in there, but we will also look at some efficiency pieces in there now. And I wouldn't want to put a number on what that looks like until we actually really delve into that at a greater level of detail.
Thank you very much for sharing that.
I think that's all the questions. So therefore, I put the resolution to you, and I just ask if I could have a mover and a seconder for that. Councillor Crowther, Councillor Kurat, would you like to discuss?
I think Paul summed it up, what I was thinking in my mind, and sort of confirmed that. I think this brings another layer of reality to what we're dealing with, and I don't think we can expect to have, I've never thought we can expect to have a massive shift in the operating deficit this year. But I think it paints the picture of what, you know, I think Maher Mayor Drysdale has said what we're looking for in terms of the next financial year, and presumably the ones after that. And I think it paints how challenging that's going to be. And I think you've pointed to some key decision points. And so, yeah, I guess we just look forward to seeing those come to us.
Councillor Kurat.
No, Councillor Crowther's basically covered it.
Any other discussion? Right. Councillor Roseboom.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to thank Paul and his finance team for putting all this together. There's been a lot of decisions made outside of our control that's impacted on this, and we ourselves as council has made a few decisions that's also had an impact on this. We're in a challenging place. I think we're starting to understand the extent of the challenge that we have in front of us, and we're now fully aware that all the decisions that we make impact not only the people of Tauranga, but Paul's life as well. So we thank Paul for all his efforts, and hopefully we can get through the festive season with no more major headaches.
Thank you. Yeah, just reiterate some of those comments. We're obviously in a challenging financial position. But as Paul said, he's been here before and he can get us out of it. So in Paul we trust. But no, seriously, it's going to be a challenge, and we've got to be cognizant of money we spend. But I do have a lot of faith in the experience that we've got around us to sort of help guide us, I guess, through this. We are asking a lot. But I think we can get there and continue to deliver for all our people. So I'm excited about the opportunity we have moving forward. So Councillor Morris.
Yeah, I am, as we all are, concerned about headroom there. I'm concerned about, without wanting to sound like a hypochondriac, black swan events, things that are out of our control, whether the extreme example is natural hazards and then you don't have the ability to respond to that, or as I've seen in the past, matters which require negotiation and council funding to rectify legal issues. There are things which can happen which can put considerable pressure on headroom when we get that tight. Beyond business as usual, we don't know what's around the corner.
Councillor Kurak or Councillor Crowther, you want to have a right to reply? Okay, therefore I put the resolution to the council. I ask all those in favour. Those against? Motion carried. Thank you. That now concludes our meeting. I'd just like to hand back to Councillor Baker if his brain's working enough to give us a closing karakia.
Kia ora mea. Mihana kia koutou. Aku ho kaimahi o tira. Ngā kaimahi o te kaunihira, rātou mā no ngā peka katoa o tō tātou te kaupapa nei. Mihana kia koutou. Just thanks to my fellow members, to all the staff, CCOs that played a part in today's massive hui. Some really meaty and chunky things to discuss, but I feel like we landed in a really awesome space and navigated some complex situations well. So good on everyone for their part in today's council hui. Nō reira, kia tāre watu ngā ke te kōrero ki te rangi, koia tēnei te whakawātea ki nei tūturu whakamaua kia tīna, haumie, huie, tai ki e.
Kia ora, Councillor Baker. Thank you, everyone, for your time and effort today. I just reiterate Councillor Baker's comments that it's been a long day, and I think we've got to a good spot. And I now declare the meeting closed at 6:52. Thank you, and we'll reconvene in a couple of weeks.